Jeshua, the core of your problem. Dear friends, I am Jeshua. I greet you all in love. There is so much love around you, in the people about you, in the spirit world that surrounds the earth. There is also the love in your own heart, so there is always a connection to love. Love gives you everything you need, the freedom to be with all aspects of yourself, mature and immature, light and dark. Love gives you the freedom to develop at your own pace, to gradually dissolve the confusion in your heart and in your mind. Love gives you freedom and safety. Feel for a moment inside your heart that this love is available to you now, not at a later time, when you are farther advanced on the path. Love belongs to the now moment. It is fully accepting of the imperfect, of what is in progress, of what is separated. You do not have to present yourself differently to the eyes of love. Let the flow of love come to you, as you are, right now. In almost all people is a thought that you must earn love, that you have to work toward changing yourself in order to be worthy of love. There is a deep shame in most of you that breeds unworthiness. You feel you need to apologize, to justify yourself. It is an attitude that many of you have. At the same time, there is such longing for love, for relaxation, and for the freedom to be who you are. And that means you find yourself in a continual battle with life. I ask you to identify that voice in yourself that criticizes and exhorts you to improve yourself, comments about how you look and what you feel, think, and do. There is a sharp voice somewhere inside you, a relentless inner critic. Try to observe that energy that is in yourself. You might see it as a face or a form, a color, or a shape. Whatever you see is okay. Essentially, this is the voice of fear in you, the fear of failure, of not being good enough, the fear of being abandoned. That fear is there in everyone. You became separated from the whole, at least that is how it felt when you, as an individual soul, left on your way into the unknown. In that moment of separation, which was essentially the birth of the soul, there was distress caused by an alienation from home, from the source out of which you originated. That alienation, that feeling of being lost, was necessary because it forced you to begin your search. You were, so to say, thrown into the deep end. For the first time, there was anxiety in your consciousness, and you went looking for wholeness. On this journey, there emerged a sense of unworthiness. It has been a long journey in which fear, power, and dependence played large roles. If you do not feel whole inside, if you do not know love from within, you go in search of nurturing from external things, in the form of recognition and love from others. That can become distorted into a need for power, a need to rule over others so that you get what you need energetically and emotionally. And so you see people seeking emotional nurturing from others in order to fill the emptiness inside themselves. They search for it in relationships between partners, in work situations, everywhere. There is a sense of unworthiness that lies at the bottom of many of their actions. If you recognize that need in yourself, then the solution lies close by. But as long as you are in any way still seeking nurturing in external energies, you stay intent on the questions: how should I be in my relationships? How should I be with my family? How should I be in my work? Those appear to be important questions, but at their core, it is about the relationship with yourself and the feeling of deep self-esteem and love that you have for yourself. There lies the key. I ask you now to descend energetically with your attention and awareness into your abdomen. Completely fill your abdominal cavity with pure awareness. Descend and feel how your awareness flows like fresh, clear water into your abdomen. Be present there, and see a child who in one way or another feels unworthy and not good enough to deserve love. Go to this child, reach out and take its hand. This is your child. You give it strength, you bring life to it by your presence and faithfulness. When you live your life by trying to nurture yourself with the energies of others, because of an inner emptiness you distort yourself into being what you are not, which does an injustice to yourself. You are not being really true to yourself when you try to adapt to the expectations and requirements of others, lest you not get the love you crave. But doing that causes your inner child to suffer because it wants to be itself, spontaneous and natural. It requires a lot of courage to be able to go inward and to feel the heart of the problem, your own sense of unworthiness. Time and again you are encouraged to do so. Every crisis in your life is the result of what lies at the bottom of the problem. But you do not have to solve it all at once. The important thing is to be aware that unworthiness lies at the bottom of the problem. This deeply rooted unworthiness, along with the key to its solution, love for yourself. Feel the light that is here, the light of yourself and everything that is here in this space. Allow this light to radiate into your abdomen and your inner child. You are worthy of receiving it. You are an inalienable part of creation, and as such you will be loved and protected and carried by a greater whole. I greet you all. Archangel Michael, find a vibrational match to yourselves. I am Archangel Michael and I come to be with you at this time, in these times of vibrational frequency. Everything now, my friends, is about frequency, vibration, and consciousness. Everything is moving in that direction, and you are finding yourselves moving in that direction, in the sense that you are finding the match. You spoke about that in your discussion earlier, and it was not by happenstance, not by coincidence, that this came about, that this topic was broached here. Because it is all about that as you continue to move forward in your ascension process, is all about finding that vibrational match to yourselves as you are being drawn more into nature, or you are being drawn, attracted to other people of like mind, like soul, like body. All of this, the match that you are all looking for, because you are drawn to that, it is calling you, the vibrational frequency match is calling you, and allow that call to happen. Allow yourself to be attracted to whatever it is. It can be people, it can be nature, it can also be materialistic things as well, if there are those things that you are desiring in your life. Those things that are calling to you, whatever they might be, and allow it to be. Allow yourself to be a match to those, whatever it is. But certainly to people, you will find more and more that you are attracted to those of like mind, and repelled by those that are not of a like mind. And that is okay. It is okay to find your way in a different path. You are on a different path from many others, even those of some of your family, your friends, your acquaintances. You are on your own path. They are on their path, and allow that process to be. Do not try to control it, just let it be what it is. And you will find if you do that, you will be attracted to higher vibrational frequency matches, whatever that might be, whatever that will bring to you in your life. It will bring you whatever it is that you are needing. The universe shall provide for you. However you are matching to that universe. That is where you are all headed, so allow that process. Allow the diverging. I have mentioned this before. Other sources have been mentioning this more and more now. The diverging timelines are indeed happening. And you are finding that all of the old timelines, the old three-dimensional illusion is being brought out into the light. The shadows of that illusion are being brought into the light. The truth indeed shall set you free. That is what that means. It will indeed set you free, as you allow the process to continue. Do not be concerned about what it is that you see with your physical eyes. That is an illusion. Always know that as you see that third-dimensional illusion, the matrix, if you will, and you do not anymore become encumbered by it, being held by it, being mired in this sludge that is there. Allow for yourself to be drawn out of that more and more. And as you do that, you will find that your life will take on a different direction, a different path, if you will. But always, you will be following the path that you were meant to follow, the path that is leading you out of that third-dimensional illusion up into the fourth dimension, and beyond into the fifth and even higher than that. So as always, allow the process, trust the plan, because it is working out exactly as it needs to. The universe is indeed providing exactly as you need to. So even though you look at those things that are happening in that third-dimensional illusion, in the matrix, you realize that it is indeed an illusion. I am Archangel Michael, and I leave you now in peace and love and oneness, and that you continue to realize the illusion is fading more and more, and in place of that is the new higher reality of your own creation. Is it my intuition or fear? Intuition and fear often feel similar, but have very different effects on our decision-making processes. Explore a therapeutic perspective on differentiating between the two. We all know that having a connection to our intuition is a good thing. It can help us differentiate a good friend from someone who is trying to take advantage of us. It can help us move toward what we want even when other people might disagree with our choices. It can help us know whether we should go up or down, right or left. Or can it? Intuition is, essentially, our sixth sense. It's a feeling of knowing beneath our cognitive understanding. It's knowing without being able to explain how we know. But what if our intuition is broken? What if what we've been feeling all along is actually something else, like fear? Where does intuition come from? Intuition is important, but it's complex. On a literal level, intuition is a sense, judgment, feeling, or emotion that arises before we have time to cognitively decide how we feel. It doesn't come from our prefrontal cortex, the rational, thinking aspect of our brains. It comes from more primitive places, older parts of the brain, like the amygdala, and our nervous system, which is more sensitive in our gut than in our mind. Intuitive information tends to come through the body, not the thinking mind. What we must keep in mind is that most of this information is learned. Our intuition is essentially a collection of information that we've gathered throughout our lives, that our bodies have stored in places that don't need thinking to activate. If we've been traumatized by men, for example, our intuitive reaction to a new man might be to push him away even if he's a lovely person. There may be something more to intuition, however. Many people believe we can access something bigger than ourselves when we pay attention. We could call this spirit, the collective unconscious, guidance from angels or spirit guides, or advice from a higher self. This type of intuition is a little different, and it works differently from the aforementioned quick reactions based on past experiences. A gut feeling versus spiritual intuition. In my experience, this spiritual intuition is slower and more long-acting. It shows up when we are paying attention without fear or judgment, when we are tuned into ourselves or another person. One way to know if this type of intuition is true spiritual guidance or just fear is if it sticks around no matter your mood, over days, weeks, or even months. This type of guidance helps you grow and learn, and not just keep you safe. Another way of defining intuition is through understanding our inner emotional compass. We were born with the capacity to feel a number of core emotions that are intended to guide us specifically in our relationships. Fear is a core emotion that tells us something is unsafe. This emotion gets a pretty bad rap, and yes, it can hold us back when we are confusing unsafe with uncomfortable. But when things are genuinely unsafe, we should listen to our fear and get away. Similarly, anger is a much maligned emotion that's supposed to help us understand our needs and boundaries, and ensure we are protected. When we constantly suppress our anger, we can't discern what our needs and boundaries even are, let alone stand up for them. With both fear and anger, and most of the other core emotions, it's a good idea to measure these emotions against our intelligence and the general context of what we are experiencing. Ideally, we don't need to react the moment we feel these emotions, but rather slow down and feel into them so we can understand the message they are trying to give us, cleared of any emotional or contextual debris, like, for example, we are tired, hungry, or dysregulated. Intuition and the attachment styles. Intuition may be most challenging when it comes to love. That's because our love relationships tend to trigger our oldest relational wounds, and it's very easy for fear to arise and tell us we'd better not take the risk, whether that's to stay, leave, approach someone, etc. We learn love through the dynamics we grew up with, so if love was associated with anxiety and abandonment, for example, our intuition may look for those feelings in love relationships, and avoid someone who invokes feelings of safety and stability. Most of us form an attachment style in childhood that can show up in our romantic relationships looking like intuition. If we grew up with secure, consistent love, we will tend to assume love is available and possible. We'll be less likely to become dysregulated with our partners, and it might be easier to move into a safe, connected state when we can attend to our intuition. If we grew up with inconsistency around love in some way, including the loss of a parent or experiences of trauma, we will tend to experience anxious attachment, which means we're much less likely to trust in our lovers. Our intuition can be overridden by a need for reassurance and closeness even when we don't particularly like the person we're with. If our needs were consistently unmet in childhood, we tend to experience avoidant attachment, which means we feel safer alone, used to meeting our own needs without the complication of another. Our intuitive responses to love will tend to lean towards breakups, distance, and separateness, because those experiences feel safer. We don't decide these reactions cognitively, they are wired in as strategies to deal with stressful childhood experiences that influence us well into adulthood. How to discern between intuition and fear? So how do we know if it's intuition or fear? Well, there's truly no simple answer to this question, as intuition and fear both come with so many layers based on what we've been through and how tapped in we are to spirit and ourselves. As many of us have learned, even when we're feeling tapped in and are listening to ourselves closely, our intuition can still turn out to be wrong. It's important we don't think of this sixth sense as infallible, like being able to look into a crystal ball and tell the future. Especially when it comes to love, it takes time to get to know people and figure out if someone is a good choice for us in the long term. Some of the work around intuition might be about trusting ourselves to take risks and make mistakes, and know we'll be okay if things don't go the way we hoped. That being said, here are a few hints to be able to tell the difference between unreasonable fear and healthy intuition. Intuition comes through when you feel calm and safe, not when you're already dysregulated. If you're afraid, ask yourself if you are actually in danger, or if something simply feels uncomfortable, challenging, or unfamiliar. Pay attention to the intuitive feeling. When it arises, does it pass when you eat well, or get enough sleep, or when an argument is resolved? Or does it stick around through various moods and cycles? Try to set aside overthinking and rationalization, and notice what is happening in your body. Allow yourself to settle into one side of a decision. What do you feel in your body? If there is tension, nausea, and a sense of being not right, that is likely an intuitive no. Do the opposite, and look for a sense of settling, exhaling, calmness, and rightness, even if there might also be emotions like sadness and fear. That is closer to an intuitive yes from your body. Compare your intuitive feeling against your past experiences and the opinions of trusted friends and loved ones. Maybe even ask the opinion of various parts of yourself. Keep in mind that intuition is just one aspect of decision making, and it's a good idea to use all your parts, your bodily reactions, your emotions, and your mind when deciding what to do. Source: arrayoflight.com. The other videos are in the English video playlist. Help me spread the light. Click like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.